Escape to Earth's Wonders, A Tale of Awe and Survival. By Elton Gar. Lila tightened her grip on Kai's hand as they approached the grand entrance of Earth's Wonders. The park loomed before them, an extravagant representation of 21st century Earth, far more dazzling than anything they had experienced in their 2 years aboard the colony ship.
Remember, we only have a few hours,
Lila reminded Kai, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and caution. Kai barely heard her, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the sight. The entrance led them into a glowing forest, where bioluminescent plants lit up with every step they took. The plants responded to the soft melody playing in the background, casting a surreal glow that shifted and pulsed with the music.
"Look, Mom!"
Kai exclaimed, his voice brimming with excitement. He darted forward, his hands reaching out to touch the nearest plant, which responded by glowing even brighter. Lila sighed as Kai ran around, each touch leaving a trail of luminescence, a mix of exasperation and affection in her eyes. It was sad that so much of this was lost, and all they had left were the green plants and brightly colored fruit like the ones in the colony ship's arboretum. The path twisted through several similar environments with strange holographic animals and fantastical landscapes. They passed through a field of giant flowers, their petals opening and closing rhythmically as if breathing, releasing sweet, fragrant scents into the air. Kai giggled as he walked among them, the petals brushing against his skin like soft fabric. Next they entered a crystal cave, where stalactites and stalagmites sparkled with embedded gemstones that glowed in the dim light. The walls shimmered, reflecting countless hues that danced around them. Kai's eyes widened as he reached out to touch a particularly radiant crystal, which resonated with a soft, melodic hum.
"So this is what Earth's caves look like,"
Kai said in awe. Lila nodded, equally entranced by the breathtaking beauty around them. She led Kai deeper into the cave, following the luminescent path that seemed to beckon them forward. As they emerged from the cave, they found themselves in a meadow filled with holographic butterflies, their wings adorned with intricate patterns of light. The butterflies flitted around them, creating a mesmerizing display of color and motion. Kai tried to catch one, laughing as it danced just out of reach.
"This place is like a dream,"
he said, his voice filled with awe. They continued through the meadow, the path now leading them to the edge of a serene lake. The water was impossibly clear, reflecting the vibrant surroundings like a perfect mirror. Small fish swam near the surface. A gentle breeze rippled the water, adding to the serene atmosphere. Lila glanced ahead and saw a shimmering doorway at the far end of the lake, its edges framed with cascading vines that glowed faintly in the twilight.
Kai, look,
she said, pointing towards the doorway.
I think that's the entrance to the next area.
Kai's eyes lit up with excitement as he followed her gaze.
"Let's go, Mom,"
he urged, tugging at her hand. Hand in hand, they walked around the edge of the lake, the path taking them closer to the doorway. As they reached it, the vines parted, revealing a glimpse of an underwater world beyond. The doorway shimmered invitingly, hinting at the wonders that lay ahead. Lila and Kai stepped into the grand underwater city. No wonder the people of the 21st century had allowed their cities to flood. The entrance hall was a vast dome made entirely of glass, providing a panoramic view of the simulated ocean outside. Schools of holographic fish swam by, their scales reflecting the soft blue light that filled the room.
"Mom, look at that giant manta ray."
Kai pointed excitedly at a massive hologram gliding gracefully over their heads. Lila smiled, feeling a mix of awe and caution.
It's incredible, Kai.
They moved deeper into the city, passing through a corridor where the walls seemed to be made of living coral. Small sea creatures peeked out from crevices, adding to the realism of the environment. Kai was drawn to an interactive display that allowed visitors to feed the virtual fish by pressing buttons to release food.
"Can I try it, Mom?"
Kai asked, his fingers already hovering over the buttons.
Sure,
Lila replied, watching as Kai's fingers danced over the buttons, summoning a holographic school of glowing fish. Suddenly the lights flickered, and the peaceful ambiance shifted. The holographic fish scattered, and the lights dimmed briefly before returning to normal. A voice filled the hall.
Attention explorers. The underwater city has been breached by unknown entities. All visitors must seek shelter immediately and prepare for an emergency escape.
Lila grabbed Kai's hand, and they moved deeper into the city. The path led them into a section designed to resemble ancient underwater ruins. The atmosphere was both eerie and captivating, with simulated water currents and echoing marine sounds.
Look at these ruins, Mom.
Kai said, his fear momentarily forgotten as they moved through the holographic artifacts. Lila kept a vigilant eye on their surroundings.
They're incredible, Kai, but we need to keep moving.
As they navigated through the ruins, a large holographic eel appeared, then disappeared, chased away by a huge submarine firing lasers into the water towards the city. As they neared the exit, a shootout between humans and several large robots ensued, the bright lights of the lasers reflecting off the glass, forcing Lila to find an alternate route. They detoured through a narrow tunnel lined with glowing jellyfish, their bioluminescent tentacles casting an eerie light. The sound of the alarm was muffled here, adding to the surreal, tense atmosphere.
Mom, this is kind of scary,
Kai admitted, his voice trembling. Lila knelt down to his level, looking him in the eyes.
It really is a wonder anyone survived the 21st century. But we just need to stay calm and keep moving. We'll get through this.
They pushed forward, finding themselves in a larger chamber where holographic sharks circled above, then dove down, grabbing one of the metal robots and crushing it in its teeth dramatically. The path was lit by emergency lights, leading them towards a safe zone. Ahead, they saw a park employee in character as an underwater explorer, guiding a group of visitors towards an escape pod. The employee waved them over.
This way, quickly. Our underwater city is under attack, and we need to evacuate.
Lila and Kai joined the group, following the employee through a series of winding corridors. The experience was designed to feel real, and it worked. Lila's heart pounded as they navigated the maze of hallways, the sounds of the underwater chaos growing louder behind them. Finally, they reached a large chamber designed to look like an escape pod bay. The employee ushered them inside, securing the door behind them.
Stay calm, everyone. The escape pod will take us to safety.
The pod vibrated slightly, simulating the feeling of detaching from the underwater city. The screens inside the pod showed a view of the city receding into the distance, with holographic explosions adding to the dramatic effect. The escape pod shook dramatically, though not dangerously, and then after a few seconds, the door on the opposite side they had entered opened. As it did, the employee said,
Everyone be careful. Earth in the 21st century was a dangerous place. You never know what might happen next.
Lila and Kai stepped out of the escape pod, into a breathtaking recreation of a 21st century city. Towering skyscrapers stretched towards the sky, their surfaces shimmering with vibrant colors. Each building was adorned with lush greenery, and some even had waterfalls cascading down their sides. Kai's eyes widened in amazement, and he immediately ran towards the nearest structure.
Look, Mom. The buildings are so tall.
Kai exclaimed, his hands reaching up to touch the plants growing along the walls. Lila couldn't help but smile at his excitement.
They're incredible, Kai.
As Kai explored the cityscape, Lila noticed the air was filled with a pleasant floral scent. The vibrant colors and the gentle breeze made the place feel like a dream. She watched as Kai ran around, his laughter echoing through the city. For a moment she felt at ease, enjoying the beauty of their surroundings. Suddenly, the tranquility was shattered by the sound of distant alarms. The buildings around them began to tremble and shift, revealing hidden mechanical elements. The once peaceful city transformed into a battleground, with robotic creatures emerging from hidden compartments and behind the greenery.
Mom, what's happening?
Kai asked, his voice tinged with fear. Lila grabbed his hand, her protective instincts kicking in.
Stay close to me, Kai.
The robotic creatures, designed to resemble the robots that had plagued the 20th and 21st centuries, causing 3 world wars, advanced towards them. Lila realized they were in another scenario, where they had to defend themselves and find a way to escape the threat.
Kai, stick close to me and be ready to run.
Lila instructed, her eyes scanning the area for an escape route. Kai nodded, his earlier excitement replaced by determination.
What do we do, Mom?
We fight our way through and find a way out.
Lila said, grabbing a sturdy piece of debris that was conveniently next to the path.
Stay behind me and move when I say so.
The robotic creatures closed in, their mechanical limbs whirring ominously. Lila swung the debris, striking the nearest robot and knocking it back. Sparks flew as it crashed to the ground, temporarily disabled. She turned to Kai, who watched with wide eyes.
Go, Kai. Now.
Lila shouted, pushing him forward. They sprinted through the city, dodging and weaving between the towering buildings. The robots pursued them, firing harmless but startling beams of light. Lila swung the debris again, taking down another robot that got too close. Kai followed her lead, using his small size to his advantage to slip past the mechanical foes.
Look, Mom. There's an open plaza up ahead.
Kai pointed to a gap between the buildings where the city seemed to open up.
Head for it, Kai. I'll cover you.
Lila said, determination in her voice. As they ran, the city seemed to shift and change, the buildings moving to create obstacles in their path. Lila and Kai navigated the shifting landscape. The robotic creatures pursued them, but Lila's determination and Kai's nimbleness kept them just ahead of the danger.
Almost there, Kai. Keep going.
Lila urged, her breath coming in short bursts. They reached the plaza, but it was blocked by a final wave of robotic creatures. Lila and Kai skidded to a stop, their path seemingly cut off. Lila tightened her grip on the debris, ready to defend Kai at all costs.
Stay behind me, Kai,
Lila said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Just then the city's landscape shifted once more. Hidden compartments in the buildings opened, revealing human soldiers in futuristic armor. They emerged with advanced weapons, joining the battle against the robots. The figures moved with precision, their coordinated attacks dismantling the robotic creatures one by one.
This way,
One of the defenders shouted, gesturing towards a nearby alley that led out of the plaza. Lila and Kai hurried after the defenders, weaving through the battlefield. The robots, now outnumbered and outmatched, began to retreat. The defenders pressed their advantage, pushing the robotic creatures back and securing the area. As they reached the alley, a defender turned to Lila.
head to the trolley, it will take you to safety.
Lila nodded in gratitude.
Thank you.
She and Kai sprinted through the alley, emerging onto a quiet street where a brightly colored trolley awaited them. The trolley had an old-fashioned charm, reminiscent of 21st century amusement parks, and it was decorated with cheerful patterns and lights. Lila and Kai boarded the trolley, which was nearly empty except for a few other visitors who had also escaped the chaos. As the trolley rolled along the tracks, they passed through various scenes depicting Earth's history. Kai pressed his face to the window, fascinated by the vibrant displays of wars, natural disasters, monster attacks, and more.
We're really seeing what life was like on Earth.
Kai said in awe. Lila nodded, her eyes taking in the sights.
Yes, it's amazing.
The trolley continued its journey, taking them away from the battleground and towards a breathtaking landscape of floating mountains, connected by narrow swaying bridges and cascading waterfalls. Each mountain seemed to defy gravity, hovering majestically in the air. The trolley came to a stop at a platform that overlooked the stunning scene.
Look, Mom. They're floating.
Kai exclaimed, his hands gripping the edge of the trolley as he eagerly looked out. Lila couldn't help but smile at his excitement.
It's incredible, Kai. Just be careful.
They stepped off the trolley and onto a platform that led to one of the narrow swaying bridges. As Kai ventured onto the bridge, Lila noticed the serene beauty of their surroundings. The vibrant colors of the plants and the sparkling waterfalls created a sense of tranquility. She watched as Kai moved carefully across the swaying bridge. The peaceful scene was interrupted by the sudden arrival of sleek, dark ships descending from the sky. These ships hovered above the floating mountains, deploying robotic creatures that landed with a mechanical thud and immediately started advancing toward Lila and Kai. Lila grabbed his hand, her protective instincts kicking in.
It's part of the simulation. We need to stay calm and fight our way through,
Lila said, moving towards a nearby waterfall that seemed to flow into a hidden cave. The robotic creatures closed in, their mechanical limbs whirring ominously. Lila grabbed a large rock, bracing herself for its weight, and was taken aback by how light it was. She hurled it at the nearest robot, and it sailed through the air with surprising ease, striking the robot and causing it to stumble. She then led Kai towards the waterfall.
Through here.
Lila shouted, guiding Kai behind the cascading water. They found themselves in a narrow cave, the sound of the water muffling the noises of the pursuing robots. Inside the cave, Lila noticed a series of glowing crystals embedded in the walls. She quickly grabbed one, realizing it might be useful. The crystals seemed to resonate with energy, and she hoped they could disrupt the robots. As they navigated through the narrow passage, the sound of the robots grew louder. The cave opened up to another side of the mountain, revealing a steep path leading upwards. Lila turned to Kai.
Climb up. I'll be right behind you.
Kai nodded and started climbing, his small hands and feet finding grips on the rocky surface. Lila followed closely, using the crystal to fend off any robots that got too close. She threw one of the crystals at an approaching robot, and it exploded in a burst of light, short-circuiting the machine.
Hurry, Kai.
Lila urged as they neared the top of the path. They reached the top and found themselves on a higher platform of the floating mountain, with a breathtaking view of the surrounding landscape. The robots were still on their trail, but they had gained some distance. Lila spotted a narrow passageway that led to another part of the mountain.
Kai, go through that passageway. I'll find another way around and meet you on the other side.
Kai looked hesitant but determined.
Okay, Mom. I'll see you soon.
As Kai squeezed through the narrow passage, Lila faced the advancing robots, her heart pounding. She picked up another lightweight rock, ready to defend herself. She threw the rock at the nearest robot, which stumbled and fell. However, one of the robots grabbed her arm, its grip like a vice.
Keep going.
Lila shouted, struggling against the robot's hold. Kai hesitated, his fear evident, but he knew he had to keep moving. He climbed through the passageway, his heart racing with every step. The sounds of his mother's struggle echoed behind him, spurring him on. Emerging on the other side, he found himself on a narrow ledge with a breathtaking view of the floating mountains and waterfalls. Kai knew he had to find a way to help his mother. He scanned the area and saw a pile of lightweight rocks near the edge of the ledge. An idea formed in his mind. He began pushing the rocks over the edge, creating an avalanche that cascaded down onto the robots below. The robots, clearly programmed to react to his actions, played along with the simulated defeat, their movements becoming slower and more exaggerated as they struggled against the rocks. The robot holding Lila turned so it was between her and the rocks, making sure she wasn't accidentally injured by the fake rocks. With the robots incapacitated, Kai climbed down the path to where his mother was. Lila, now freed from the robot's grasp, ran to meet him.
Quick thinking, Kai,
she said, dusting off her clothes. As they began to relax, a calm and friendly voice came over the speaker.
Congratulations, explorers. You have successfully navigated and survived the most realistic simulation of 21st century Earth anywhere in the galaxy. You may now freely explore the park and enjoy your day. Lunch will be served in the underwater city in 1 hour. Please remember to tell your friends about Earth's wonders. Thank you for visiting.
Author's note.
Most of my stories focus on important events. They aren't all world-shattering, but they are something that is likely to change the world. This isn't one of those stories. Nothing in this story is going to change the world, no wars are started, no civilizations are going to end. They didn't even really learn about the history of Earth. But in another way, I think it's just as important. I think we've all had moments like the ones in this story. One where it's time to grow up, just a little bit. And as much as I love writing about time travel and galactic wars, I think that a moment between a mother and a son can be just as important. I also hope that the history of Earth was interesting for everyone. You can either read it as they just don't know the history of Earth, or as a nod towards the strange and entirely wrong history of Earth that can be found in Star Trek and other older sci-fi that imagined a future that isn't what happened. Perhaps there is even a little bit of Galaxy Quest in the mix, with them assuming that the bits of data that they found really happened instead of being movies. If you enjoyed it, I'll be writing more stories with the theme of travel and vacations over the next month. Some of them will likely include more children, and there is going to be a time-traveling tourism story, and others are likely to get back to the higher stakes. So, consider signing up for my weekly newsletter at scifi.com, where you can get access to free stories and updates every week, or if you want to help me continue this endeavor, you can sign up at my Patreon. Patrons at the free level get to vote on the monthly theme and access to stories every week, and paid patrons get access to over 40 patron-exclusive stories and can vote every week on the next patron-exclusive I write. Thank you. Elton Gar.